soon as they blue screen go off.
Hi again, everyone. This is Mike Siver and Earnest Spencer with the No Fences Show. And our topic for this series is called Repairing Broken Adults. And this is part number 7. And Ernest would like to read a quote by Katharine Hepburn to get us started on this segment of the show, this part.
Okay, the quote is, "We are taught you must blame your father, your sisters, your brothers, the school, the teachers, but never blame yourself. It's never your fault. But it's always your fault because if you want to change, you're the one who's got to change."
And that was written by Katharine Hepburn some time ago. And Ernest and I were talking before the show about when we were kids, and we were 11, 12, up to 15 years old, if someone were to ask us, what do you want to be? We'd come up with all kinds of things, you know, firemen, policemen, you name it. Girls want to do girl things and guys want to do guy things, and sometimes girls want to do guy things and back and forth.
Right.
But no girls that I've ever met ever said, well, when I was 15 years old, I want to be a whore and a drug addict.
Right.
And no guys ever said, when I get 15 years old, when I get to be an adult, I want to go to prison for robbery and murder.
Right.
Nobody ever thinks like that.
And you know, we talk about that a lot in another program I'm involved in. And we always say, I don't remember growing up saying I want to be a dope dealer and then an addict for my own product. So when you asked me that, I remember just a little while ago, I said I remembered I just didn't want to be like my dad.
Yeah.
And you know, to the most part, I didn't grow up to be what he was, but it hurt me because I tried to do all the opposite things. So I put myself under strain not to be him. And, you know, it was hard on me because I tried to raise all my kids and do everything by myself.
Well, it's the same thing. We both talked about it. That was one of my goals when I was younger, never to grow up like my dad.
Right.
As some of the earlier shows, you'll remember, you know, my dad was my dad, but he was never there.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and dad divorced when I was really young. So what influence he had on me when I was really young, I don't remember. And then I remember him not being there.
Right.
So not having a male role model in my life, I had a lot of excuses for being stupid.
Okay.
My dad never taught me that because I didn't have a dad. Or my dad never showed me that because I never had a dad. I had a lot of reasons for being dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge never accepted those for some reason.
Right.
He never thought they were good enough. But down here in chapter 1, we're still in chapter 1 of the book, it says, consider who you are and how you act today. Look for ways you use your experiences from your past and the information in this book to help you take responsibility for your future actions, and build the life you wish to have. I know I deal with a lot of addicts and alcoholics, and I go to the jail every week as a chaplain in the jail, and none of them want to be where they're there, of course, because I didn't want to be when I was there either. But they don't know how to be different. And I met with a guy today who we had a Bible study on Monday night, and halfway through the Bible study, he got up and left.
Okay.
And we hit a sore point somehow. We didn't realize we were doing it. And I went up there to see him today for a one-on-one to see where he was at, what was going on, and we had a good little talk.
Okay.
But he felt alone. And how many times in a room full of people have you felt alone?
Right.
I have a lot of times. And is that a sign of something? Do we admit that to ourselves? Do we tell people, you know, I'm lonely?
You know, very seldom do we really express. I want to read the last sentence in here.
Okay.
It says, "Wish the life you wish to have. It all begins and ends with your decision. Learn to make them to benefit others, and you will always be the one smiling." And we've learned to be, as a nation, superficial. How are you? Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and we're not fine a lot of times, but it's what we do. It's what we say, and how are you today? Oh, I'm blessed. With all things going wrong, we still don't talk about it, and a lot of that, what you're saying, growing up without a dad. I ran a men's program for a while, and the statistics on men in prison, men that do rape, men that do robberies, all of that, and the percentage of them that grew up in a home without a father in it,
Yeah.
is very high.
It's huge.
Yes, very high. 80s and 70s, 80s and 90s.
Wow.
So that showed, even though my father was gone, I was blessed to have 5 uncles. And, they stayed in my behind and made me do the right things. So, I did have that benefit, but you talked about you moved a lot.
Yeah.
So you didn't really have, that.
And the other thing, I grew up with a mother and 4 sisters.
Right.
So I was the only guy in the house who didn't have a clue what it took to be a guy.
Right.
I learned, I guess, how to be a girl more than I learned how to be a guy.
I got it.
And my mom used to, and I didn't realize it till much later in my life, when we lived used to live in Holland, Michigan for a while. We lived pretty close to a lake that wasn't too far for me to ride my bike.
Right.
She used to let me get up early in the morning, go fishing all by myself. And that was, I think, and I believe at the time, to allow me to do boy things.
Right. Her way of
And she let me go out at night when the girls had to be home. And I think she did her best to be mom and dad.
right, to try and give you what you needed.
But she was trying to defend herself, as not physically, because I don't think my dad ever hurt her. He was just a bad drunk. To raise a family by herself. And she had a couple men friends in her life, but they never stuck around.
Right.
For whatever reasons, and maybe 5 of us was too much for them. So,
And it's a song that say, God won't raise a child that's not his own. It's a song where this young man talks about growing up and getting out of jail.
Right.
And how these men were with his mother, but they wouldn't raise a child that wasn't there. So they never influenced his life, what you just said. They just, they were there for the woman, and they normally do not interact with the children. And that's, common among poor families. And it's not a race thing. It's about economics.
well, that's what we're talking about. How do we get, you're a senior citizen.
Okay.
I'm a senior citizen. And how do we get the knowledge we've got from living this long into the young people today? How do we get the knowledge we've got to survive and learn that we don't have all the answers,
Right.
that we need help along the way? I never asked for it.
Right.
I don't think you asked for much help along the way. I thought I had all the answers. How do we get into the young people today the stuff that we are learning now, that we're teaching now? I had a lady the other day look at one of the videos that we've done. I think it was number 4.
Okay.
And she called me right back and said, that's exactly what I'm dealing with now. Now I understand what's going on. She has a daughter who's the middle child of 3. The oldest is a boy. The youngest is a girl, is a boy.
She's the girl in the middle.
She's the girl in the middle and has no identity
Right.
besides being a girl.
Right.
She's the baby. She's not the baby.
Right.
She's not the oldest.
Right.
She has no bearing.
Right.
And now the mother, actually she came over to the house today. And she talked for a long time.
Okay.
I think and I had to cut her off, and I'm really sorry I did that, because I'm going to call her up and have her come back, because she wanted to talk.
Okay.
She wanted to talk and talk and talk. But it was our book and the stories that we do on here that people are actually watching.
Yes, they are.
And again, I'm going to ask anybody who sees a segment or a part that we want to talk about, if you relate to it or if you disagree with it. If you want to come up and support it, or maybe give us an alternative that we missed.
Right.
I'd love to have you come on the show. Ernest would love to have you come on the show. Either one of us can run the show, or you can be our guest. It doesn't matter. We'd love to have you come on and explain to us what we've either done right or done wrong, and we'd love to have you on the show. Now, one of the things that we talk about was, and I talk about a lot, and Ernest just said it, about change.
Yeah.
About change. When do you make a change? When do you not make a change? And the quote that I've
And
got.
Mike, I want to read this. Mike put it out. It
Okay.
says, the role we play changes with time and circumstances. And while we don't always have control over the role we are placed in, we do have control over the way we play the role or play it. And that's very true. You know, you can change a situation by changing yourself.
Yeah, you can. And sometimes, you know, sometimes we get put in spots that we don't anticipate, we don't expect, and sometimes we don't deal with those very well. You know, you might go into a bar or a situation where somebody in there is already in a bad mood. Something happened to them today that you don't even know the person, let alone what happened. And somehow you guys meet and he takes offense.
Right.
Whatever you've done, or she takes offense. Whatever you've done or just did, whatever it was, reminded them of somebody or made them mad.
And you have no clue why they're upset.
And you don't know why they're mad at you, you don't know what's going on. How you react at that moment talks a lot about who you are. Now you can get your back up. I've done nothing wrong, you know, get out of my face and blah, 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 blah. And next thing you know, you're in a fight.
Right.
Or you can bow out, and there's nothing wrong with walking out the door and going to another place.
It is. There's nothing wrong with it.
Because experience has taught me now, not years ago, that if I stay in that spot, there's going to be a problem. Before the night's over,
There's going to be a problem.
there's going to be a problem.
And we have a bunch of young people that have access to guns and feel that they can't back out of a situation because it makes them look bad. And, you know, I was taught growing up, solve a problem, not necessarily fight a problem out all the time.
Right.
And you're right. You could run into somebody who just had a fight with his wife or whatever. And I was playing basketball one time, and this guy just kept trying to push me around. And I literally, I'm going to be straight up honest. I went home and I got my gun, and I came back, and I told myself, no, you can't do this. Go back in the house. 2 days later, he came back to me, and he said, I understand that you could have killed me. He said, but I had a fight with my wife, and I took it out on you and the people on the basketball court, and I'm truly sorry.
Yeah.
But that could have escalated exactly what you said into something that broke out real serious.
And today, with weapons the way they are and easy to get, you know, it's a big topic right now on gun control and all this kind of stuff, and we're not going to get into that.
Right.
But there is so much going on, and the answer doesn't have to be into a fist fight,
Right.
which it used to be, and maybe that was the best thing. Now you just get a gun out and shoot somebody.
Right.
And the consequences for that, I don't know how people don't think about if I get caught.
They don't, and that's what we started this with the men in prison.
Yeah.
A lot of them are there. You can take 10 seconds in your life and can screw your whole life up by not thinking about what it is. So that's why that quote that you have there is so very important. And it does say we do have control over the way we play the role.
Yeah.
Or play it.
And if we don't choose to take that control,
Right.
we're giving our power to other people. Because what we talk about a lot of times when we go into the jail is, you know, they know and you know, people know, when you go to jail, you're told when to get up, when to go to bed, the bathroom is public,
Right.
there's no privacy, you have no power.
None.
The only power you have is to do what you're told.
That's it.
That's the power you have. And if you choose not to exercise that power, then you're going to be in a lot more trouble. So we can take charge of our life. It's just that we don't do it.
We don't.
And the people in jail think they have no power, but they're exercising power every day by doing what they're told.
Right.
And they don't realize that. So we have to learn, and we're just about out of time here now. We got about 30 seconds left.
Okay.
We're going to do show number 8 here in a few minutes, and that's going to be on a continuing theme about repairing broken adults. And a lot of times we do that by looking at how we got broken in the first place. So with that, Ernest, I want to say thank you very much for this show,
You're welcome.
and we'll see you on the flip side.
Yes, sir.